Hey everyone, I'm Murali, here to present Marauder, a system to accelerate mobile apps. This is joint work with Harsha Madhyastha from the University of Michigan and my advisor Ravi Netrawali from Princeton University. As we all know, mobile phones have taken over our lives, and apps are increasingly the predominant use case on phones. Recent studies show that we spend nearly 4 hours each day using apps, and this number is projected to only increase in the next few years. With the increasing dominance of mobile apps, the importance of app performance increases. A recent study found that users expect apps to respond to interactions such as clicks and scrolls in no more than 2 seconds. Slow apps are abandoned or even replaced. So, given these strict and important performance demands, it is no surprise that much work has been expended to accelerate these apps. Techniques range from efficient libraries to proxy offloading and caching schemes. So the question we have is, in today's settings, are existing forms of apps meeting user expectations? To begin our work, we first want to understand and characterize the state of mobile app performance and responsiveness today. But first, let me discuss a bit about the setup and methodology we use for our experiments. We start with real Android devices. We pick the Note 9 and Pixel 4. We install apps sourced by crawling from various Play Store categories such as shopping, news, etc. To drive these apps, we need realistic user interactions. We use Humanoid, an app testing framework that uses deep neural nets to learn and apply interaction patterns similar to users. We generate and use interaction traces, a series of interactions. For each app in our corpus, we generate 20 traces that span 2 to 3 minutes to match previously reported session times. The devices work over live Wi-Fi or LTE networks. To measure performance, we record the screen and compute interaction response times, or IRT. IRT tracks how long it took for the screen to stop visually changing, and it incorporates elements similar to the speed index metric that is used to evaluate web performance based on how quickly content is rendered for a user in a browser. Experiments are repeated with different interaction traces to measure the cache performance. It also accounts for content variance. The gap between traces is termed delta, which spans various intervals from 10 minutes to 1 day. Using this setup, we find that the median IRT is 2.9 seconds on LTE and 1.6 on Wi-Fi. This means a significant portion of interactions do not meet the user's expectations of 2 to 3 seconds. So naturally, the next question we have is, why aren't a majority of interactions fast? Well, if we consider what tasks must take place to support a user interaction, there are two main categories: network delays to download the required content like images, JSONs, and so on, and compute delays which are on the server and on the client's phone to process content and render the final visualization for the user. To understand how these delays contribute to the slowness of apps today, we repeated these experiments in an emulated environment where the network delays were set to 0. To do this, we load each interaction back to back with the app configured to serve everything from the local cache for the second load, thus eliminating network. In other words, these experiments allow us to understand network delays by forcing all of the IRT delays to be caused only due to compute. We find that network requests account for 38 and 64% of the median delay on Wi-Fi and LTE. So, network delays are a significant contributor to slow interactions, especially on cellular networks. So what can we do to alleviate this delay? The alleviation of network delays have been studied in the context of many applications, and the two primary techniques are caching and prefetching. Caching stores previously fetched content locally to be reserved to users. It uses developer-specified TTLs to determine how long a resource can be stored locally. Prefetching predicts and performs fetches ahead of time. Let's now study how apps use these techniques today and how effective they are now and in general. Across our corpus, we see that caching is widely used, with over 28% of resources in the median interaction being served from the local cache. This translates to an IRT speedup of 44% over a no cache scenario. So caching clearly helps apps today, but can we do better? Well, to answer this, we compare today's policies with an optimal one that sets the TTL of resources to their ideal values, that is, till when they actually change. We find that the median cache hit rate nearly doubles under such an optimal policy, leading to an IRT improvement of over 58%. So this tells us that when a cacheable resource's TTL expires, it is often the case that the content of the resource is still the same. While caching is useful, It's currently suboptimal since developers are setting TTLs lower than they need to be based on the actual content of resources. This leads to fewer cache hits than possible. So we see that caching is currently suboptimally used. Can we fix this? Can developers leverage TTLs precisely to extract the full potential of caching? Fixing the issue of conservative TTLs is not just a simple matter of having developers set better TTLs. The issue is more fundamental. By studying the changes in ideal TTL for each resource, we find that the challenges, ideal TTLs, vary significantly. It's not trivial to set the TTL such that it expires only when the resource's content changes, because how long the content remains unchanged varies. This gives developers a tough choice. A high TTL would improve cache performance, but risks serving stale versions of resources to clients. A low TTL allows control over the dissemination of updated content, but it forgoes cache hits when the ideal TTL is larger. From our results, developers are erring on the conservative side, losing performance but retaining control. Taking a step back, we have seen that caching can provide a significant performance boost, but it can be difficult to configure the TTLs correctly to extract its potential. Let us now look at prefetching. Across our corpus, only 4 apps support prefetching. We experiment with these apps to study their prefetching performance. When prefetching is enabled, these apps load the latest content in the background at periodic intervals. This means that network fetches can be avoided when the user launches the app. We enabled the prefetching setting that best improves the IRT and find that it is possible to boost performance by over 60%. However, we observe that achieving these speedups with prefetching entails incurring up to a 4x overhead in data usage per app. In other words, apps were downloading significant amounts of unneeded content. The reason, as observed in other prefetching studies, is that it is difficult to accurately predict which interaction users will make and when they will make them. We could reduce the data overhead, but that means a reduction in speed up too. So, to summarize, we have seen that caching and prefetching can help, but it is difficult to leverage their benefits effectively. So how could we draw on the benefits while minimizing their drawbacks? Marauder, our system, helps achieve this goal on existing apps and servers without relying on developers to make changes. While we cannot go deep into the weeds in this talk, let me give you some of the underlying insights behind Marauder's capabilities. We start by studying the pattern of resources loaded by apps for each interaction. When the user interacts with the phone, the client device has to fetch the resources from the server to display them. In practice, we find that often clients get a text file first that catalogs the list of resources to load in the interaction. Digging deeper into this, we find that we can recover a large portion of the set of URLs in an interaction simply by analyzing the text file. Despite having a binary installed, it is these text files that tell the app what to fetch over the network. Apps follow the same model as web pages despite a totally different deployment mode. So, text files are important. If we can keep the latest versions of text files in the cache, we can prefetch resources in an interaction as soon as the text file is requested. So now our interactions would look like this. We're able to keep an updated text file in the cache at all times because of the small size of text files. As a text file expires, we refresh it, and when the user taps on the screen, we have an updated catalog of resources ready to fetch. Now let's look at TTLs, which we briefly discussed earlier. We found that developers often set conservative TTLs to retain control over the resource freshness. The difference between such conservative TTLs and the ideal TTL is large. By using low bandwidth requests, we simply attempt to extend the TTL of non-textual resources. This allows us to optimize the number of fetches within an interaction further, like this. Another insight that enables Marauder's optimizations is that the set of resources cataloged by a text file remain relatively stable. This allows opportunities to perform just-in-time prefetching, even if the text files are marked as uncacheable. Let's now see how all of this comes together in Marauder, such that we do not need developer effort or server-side changes. We make use of the fact that apps often use a common caching library. Marauder builds upon this caching library, and it consists of a cache refresher. This component refreshes the cached resources in the background. It fetches new textual bodies or extends the TTL of non-textual resources. And simultaneously, Marauder's JIT prefetcher acts on each new text file. For each file, it parses and generates the set of reference resources. This is then used for safe JIT prefetching within an interaction. We evaluate Marauder using the setup described earlier to answer various questions. In this talk, let's take a closer look at the performance benefits and bandwidth overheads of Marauder. We find that Marauder speeds up interaction response times by 27.4% of the median. Recall that we repeat our experiments with different time deltas between interaction traces. This helps account for cache performance and content variance. We find that higher deltas have a better performance improvement as there are more chances to refresh expiring resources. We compare the performance of Marauder on Wi-Fi and LTE. We find that we have higher benefits on LTE due to the higher latencies to origin servers. Looking at the bandwidth overheads, Marauder consumes 1.18 times more data for the median app as compared to the app's default prefetching policies that have a 4x overhead. Breaking this down further, there are two ways in which Marauder can increase an app's bandwidth usage: cache refreshing and JIT prefetching. Cache refreshing is low cost, accounting for only 16.7% of the overhead. The majority of extra bytes are coming from prefetching. The reasons for unnecessary prefetching are that certain text files embed references that are required only in later interactions, or certain text files embed a superset of the resources needed for the current interaction. Marauder does not have any way of differentiating such anticipatory fetches, and instead will simply prefetch them at the time the text file is requested. To conclude, we have seen that caching and prefetching can be quite useful if leveraged correctly, but they come with difficulties. We present Marauder, a drop-in replacement for Android cache libraries. Marauder performs background refreshing and JIT prefetching to improve app performance. Thanks for listening.